Hello again! Well, in response to last week's vlog, and I suppose also the other vlog about the golden rooms, which I did 2 weeks ago, I showed you how I made those golden rooms and the furniture in there. And Tara asked me about that. She said, curious to know your background on how you learned carpentry and working with different elements. Well, I have talked about it a little bit before on my blogs and on my vlogs as well, I think. And people who know me, who have been following me for a long time, because I've been online for almost since the start of me doing miniatures, which is 21 years ago now. They will probably know, but I'll talk a little bit more about it. So I'm not a carpenter. I didn't learn carpentry in school or anything like that. But before I got into miniatures, I did do some renovations on my full-scale house. So I did learn some skills, mostly, like laying floors and doing electrical work and little things and tiling and things like that. And so I did do some renovation works myself. And I suppose I come from a very hands-on family. My parents are both very creative, very good with making things. And I guess we kind of learned that from them, and we took that, and you just pick that up when you grow up. So 21 years ago, and this is a story I've told several times, when my son was 3.5 years old, we were at the garden center looking at the Christmas displays, and he loved it. He wanted to take it all home, which was, well, those things are expensive. So I thought I'll make that myself, and I did. And I was picking up some supplies for this, making these miniature displays, and at the local DIY shop. And the lady who owns that shop, we got along quite well, and we were talking, and she turned out to be interested in miniatures, and she had a doll's house, and she made a lot of stuff herself. And she gave me all these magazines to read, miniature magazines, which was really fun, and I thought that was fantastic. And they had some great, descriptions on how to build furniture and things. So I did a little bit of that. And when I bought my doll's house, the people who I bought it from, they were a local shop, and they designed that. It was a shell. It was their design of the canal house. But you had to do everything yourself. But I also got along quite well with the person who ran that shop, and she asked me to come along to a class. I'd never been to a class because I just got into miniatures, and actually that was a doll class. It was a lot of fun. I'm not into dolls at all, but I did learn a great deal, and so that was my first class. Of course, that has nothing to do with carpentry, but it does have to do something with understanding how to work in miniatures, and this was with fabrics and putting a doll together and making a wig, that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed that class, and after that I went to the shows in the Netherlands and in the UK as well, to the London Dolls House Festival, and I started taking classes as well. So one of my first classes was with Barry Hipwell, the great Barry Hipwell, and that was a marquetry class. And I actually just found photos of that class on when I was doing the video, last week's video, looking for those files when I was making the cabinet, which I couldn't find, but I did find photos of this class, and I made this. I'll show it to you more clearly. And here are the photos I took in that class. And this is the master himself, Barry Hipwell. It's not a great photo of him, but yeah, it's the only one I have. He was about 75, 76 at that time. He passed away 3 years later, I believe. And this is my project I was working on back then. The start of it anyway. There's a table and a curtain, as you can see, and there's supposed to be a vase of flowers behind the curtain eventually. And here it is, the fire screen. I think the fire screen itself is by McQueenie's Miniatures. I'm not sure. But it was about the inside, the inlay, the marquetry. And we all designed our own design. And I did a vase of flowers and I made a curtain. So half of it, or a third of it, is a bit obscured by the curtain. And then I used the grain and the coloring of the wood to create that. I noticed during this class that my eyesight wasn't as good as I thought, and the lighting was really bad in that classroom, and I don't think any of us had one of those portable lights back then. This was in 2005. But anyway, I made this and I really enjoyed doing this, but and I wanted to show you this, because here is a piece by the master himself. You can compare. Well, I mean, it was my first piece, and he is the master. So yeah, I'll show you this more in detail later. Another video, not this video. But anyway, so this was the first time I did. Well, actually, no. I did do some woodwork before, because I did my own floors and the staircase in my canal house. So I did do some woodwork and I made some doors. But this was my first class. But the significance for me of this class was that this was in October of 2005. The next summer, in the summer of 2006, I got a letter from Barry Hipwell, and he asked me if I would be interested in becoming a scholar, getting a scholarship at the Guild School, at the Igmar Guild School in Castine. Well, of course, I was very interested because we talked about the Guild School during this class, and I looked at it. I couldn't afford to go. But then with a scholarship, the classes themselves are paid for. All you have to pay yourself is your trip. So I applied, and Barry wrote a letter of recommendation for me, and I got the scholarship, which was, for me, I was over the moon. I was so happy with that. So I went there, and that was very significant for me because then I took Mark Murphy's class, and that was a woodworking class, and I learned so much in that class. First time for me working with all kinds of machines, and yeah, that was an eye-opener, and thoroughly enjoyed that class. And like I said, I learned so much. So yeah. But yeah, that was the start of it all. Then later on, I think it was in 2009, I did take a few silver classes as well, Jens Torp's silver classes, and that was close to home. And I really enjoyed that. Those were some of my favorite classes as well. But then I went to Philadelphia, and I went for a family visit, friend visit. But Philadelphia was on the way, and there were some classes there because there was a show there, which was wonderful. I'd never been to an American show. And this one I took the class that was Tom Walden's, I think it was called The Magic of the Drill Press. And that was great. So this was made with a drill press. I think it's like a plate rack, and here there's spaces for glasses. But that was very interesting to learn how to do that. It was a good class. And the other one I took again in Philadelphia the same week was this one, and this was Pete and Pam Borum, and here we made this dresser, and that was all about the table saw. learning how to work. There's no back in there. That's why I'm being a little bit careful. That was because they forgot to bring the wood for the back plate. So they sent it to us later, and I just never got around to putting it in there. But yeah, that was an interesting class as well. I enjoyed that. And then, of course, I started taking, there were some more teachers coming to the Netherlands, and then also I went to Denmark, and some of the classes I took there, here's one. This was Bill Robertson's class. Again, not finished, story of my life. But that's not really the point for me. I will finish it one day. But the point is to learn all these techniques. And gosh, did I ever learn a lot during these classes. They're fantastic classes. And this was in Denmark at Miniaturist Journal, which was, I think that was the first time I went there. And of course, this also was in Denmark, Miniaturist Journal. This was a class by Jeff Wonnacott. And these classes, I mean, they're fantastic. You learn so much. And I really, really enjoy taking classes and learning. And that's basically how I learned a lot of what I do now. And of course, you try to expand on it yourself. And there's a lot, like with the cabinet with the curved top. I'd never done anything like that. So I had to figure out how to do that myself. But because well, in my case, I've taken classes, then you kind of understand how things work, and you can come up with solutions. But yeah, these classes, and here's the one I made last year. Again, not finished. Still not finished. Didn't get around to finishing that. But doesn't matter. It will get finished one day. But like I said, to me, I'm a very slow worker. That's just me. There were a lot of people who were finished. So, but these classes are fantastic. Yeah. And as you know, I'm now one of the organizers of Miniaturist Journal. So I'll be going every year. So this summer, I'm taking, what am I taking? I think a woodworking class and copper. I'm making some copper, and I'm doing some woodwork. I think those are the two I'm taking. So anyway, that was a very long answer to Tara's question. So yeah. This just works so beautifully. Thank you, Jeff, for teaching me how to do that. So, in short, that's mostly how I learned. And if you have an opportunity to take a class, any class that you like, please do, because first of all, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. You meet other miniaturists, and you learn a lot. And every class I've taken, I still learn a lot. So yeah, take a class. You won't regret it, I think. So that's how I learned. Well, most of it anyway. And I'll keep learning and keep on taking classes, because there's still lots to learn. And I hope you do too. It's so much fun. And like I said, you learn a lot. But for now, thank you for watching. Until next time.